Hello everyone. Today we are diving into one of the Excel's most underrated but very powerful tool, which is called as data validation. So what exactly is data validation? In simple terms, it's a feature that controls what kind of a data can be entered into a particular cell or the range of cells that we select. Whether it could be a number, it could be a date, a drop down list, or even a custom format data which you wanted the user to enter. All of these can be managed by the creator of the sheet if he or she wants the other users to enter the data in a proper format. So this will help you actually to avoid inaccuracy in the data sets that has been created. So for example, think of a situation where your spreadsheet has got lots of data entered by different type of people across organizations, maybe across places and across regions. Lots of data has come up with you, and you see that different people have entered the data in a different format. Some have entered the data in capital letters, some have entered the data in toggle cases, some have entered in small cases, some people have entered a 12-digit mobile number, some people have entered 10-digit mobile number, some people have entered email ID in a wrong format. Say for example, instead of gmail.com, they should have entered email gmail.co. They've missed to enter yum at the end. So these kind of a data, and then by using this kind of a data, what users usually do, they copy the email IDs and they would like to send emails to the respondents, and the mail doesn't go, the mails get bounced back. Why does the mail gets bounced back? Because the email ID was not entered well. Sometimes the users enter the data in a very wrong format. You don't say, for example, you wanted a question to understand whether the user, you wanted to send a form to the user to check whether he'll be attending a party. He says yes, no, and maybe any of these three options you're expecting. Now the user will enter I will come, I will not come, or he'll start explaining some story out there in that particular cell. This will create a lot of problem for you in understanding how many people are exactly coming, how many people are not coming. For you to summarize it pretty quickly, it's very difficult because different people have written different words there. You'll not be able to summarize the data effectively and get the proper numbers out of this. In order to avoid all these data related issues, we use the tool called data validation, which will restrict the people who are filling the data in the form to ensure the data is filled in appropriate format, and that data will be created in a proper format for the user, and this will help the user to summarize the data properly or analyze the data properly. To be precise, if you ask me why data validation is so important, because imagine creating a form or a report where user accidentally enters text instead of numbers. You are asking how many people are coming along with you. One, some person say ONE1, TWO2, but some people say number 1, 2, 3, numerical values they enter. But what you actually wanted is numerical values, so that calculating some function is pretty easy. If at all somebody enters numerical values, it will not be easy for you to calculate. So that way, it will help you analyze it properly, avoid wrong analysis, avoid broken formulas with no proper output, and frustrating errors in Microsoft Excel. All this can be avoided by using data validation in Microsoft Excel. With data validation, you not only prevent bad data, but you also guide the users to enter the right data in the right way. And the moment they enter the wrong data, it will give a warning pop-up saying that this is not what I expect from you to fill, so please fill it in a right format. These kind of warnings can be given to the user. So in this particular video, let us take you through various options of data validation, how the conditions have to be put in, and how the warnings can be created for each and every option. That's what it is about this video. Now, the first thing I'll touch base, you can see here we are talking about 5 different types of data validation. These are pretty basic data validations that we are talking here. After this, we'll try to learn about custom validations, and also dependent drop down tools that we will be learning in data validation. So let's start with a simple but very useful data validation techniques wherein we'll try to restrict numbers to a particular range. Say for example, data validation as an option is available under data tab. Go to data tab, you see under data tools group, you have one particular option. Some of the computers will clearly mention it data validation as a text, but in some computers you just see this particular icon, so you'll have to go here, click on this bottom arrow, then you see the concept called data validation. So this is a particular option that we are trying to work on today. So the moment you click on data validation, you have a window like this where you see settings option, you have input message option, and you put error option. Input message basically helps the user understand, the one who's filling the data, understand what is expected out of this particular cell. What you have, it's an instruction to the user how the data is expected to be entered there. Whereas error alert here, if you make a error alert here, it will help user understand if the user have entered something wrong in that particular cell, not in the expected format. Suddenly it will give a pop-up mentioning this is a wrong format. So you can create input message. It is useful for the user before entering the data, and error alert will help the user understand if they have entered the wrong format of the data. So because it alerts after the data is entered, whereas input message gives an instruction to the user before he enters the data. Settings are the actual important things that you need to learn. What kind of restrictions you want to put onto the cells, that will be done in settings. Now by default you see it is any value, which means the particular cell which I have selected has no restrictions. The moment I put any value, it doesn't have any restrictions. Now what I'll have to do, see what are the different types of options I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then custom. Including custom, there are 8 options under this. The first option is any value, which means you're saying to the computer that this particular cell doesn't have any restrictions. User can enter whatever they want. They can enter text, they can enter name, they can enter date, time, whatever, special characters, whatever they wanted to enter, they can enter. Then whole number, which speaks about numbers between 1 to any range as defined by the user. When it comes to decimal numbers, it will give you decimal values also, like 0.1, 0.3. You want to restrict the user to enter between 0 and 1, not beyond the 1. The value should not exceed 1, or the value should not be less than 0, which means it will not accept minus values. Similarly, you can create a list. You can put a date column, which means user will be able to only enter date there. He cannot enter anything else. Then we have time, where user will be able to only enter time. Nothing else can be allowed. Text length. This is also pretty much useful in most of the applications, wherein customer usually try to enter his name pretty lengthy, and if you have certain restrictions of length of the text that you wanted to fill, you can mention that the text length should not be more than 10. Let's say sometimes we use, most of the candidates who would like to prepare their resume, there are online tools to make a resume, and it will ask you to enter the information and the resume is automatically created. In such cases, how this is done is, especially with respect to career objective, when candidates write career objective, usually they restrict it to not more than 100 characters. You should have seen in many instances where you're trying to type the text in the text box, and below there is a count coming up that only 300 characters is allowed, only 150 characters is allowed. If you cross the characters, the data input will not be taken, it will not be saved. Similar way here, you can restrict the cell to take number of characters in that particular cell. If you say the text should not be more than 100 characters including spaces, then it will restrict the cell to take more than that text. So that's how there are certain options. Let us quickly browse through. We will start with using numbers particular cells. So my first option here is numeric range validation, and what option we use here is whole number. We use whole number as an option here. Okay, so this is the cell where I would like to apply this condition So you can actually choose a range, whichever the range you wanted, you can choose. But here I'm restricting myself in choosing one particular cell because I have to explain the concepts in a different cell. Here, this particular cell, I would like to restrict filling only numbers between 1 to 100. Let's say, for example, we are recording exam scores, and an examination department of an institute gives this form to one of the faculty members who have trained the students and have conducted the evaluations, and they should be entering marks for the students out of 100. So number shouldn't be less than 0, and the number should not go beyond 100. I'm sure everyone accepts that any exam will not be more than 100. So that way, if it is 0, between 0 and 100, such conditions have to be put. Then you use the concept of whole number, and I'm trying to apply this particular settings here. So let's select the range or a cell on which you have to apply these settings. Click on this, go to data, and then click on data validation. Here I'll choose a whole number. Now it will ask you what is the minimum number. The minimum number should be 0 and the maximum number should be 100. Here you have got so many options, whether you want to make it only equals to, between, not between. So you can try giving different use cases. You can create your own use cases and try getting into all of these options here. So at the moment, my particular use case is my cell should be restricted to get the number between 0 and 100. Now I've applied this. But what should be the input message? I'm giving the input message to the candidates: number restriction. And I would mention, please enter the marks between 0 and 100 only. Or I'll set a warning here, just marks warning. Marks are not in the range of 0 and 100. 0 to 100. So this is a warning I've created for myself. Now let's say okay. Now my settings are created. Now you go and keep your mouse. Let's assume that now I am a faculty. I'm trying to enter the marks on this particular cell. Click on the particular cell. You see the instruction is pretty clear. Number restriction, please enter the marks between 0 and 100 only. Unless somebody is pretty innocent and doesn't know anything, they know very clearly that they need to enter the marks only between 0 and 100. So I would say 90. Yeah, 90 is acceptable. Let's say I would like to enter 110. 110 is not in the range. Let's see what will happen. The moment I click on 110, you see the warning has come. Marks are not in the range of 0 to 100. Whether you want to continue or not continue. Ideally, you should not be continuing, right? So marks warning is a heading that we have created. This heading also is created by us. And the text that we have entered is coming up here, and you can see the icon is a warning icon, right? So I'll just no, I'll just go enter my 0 marks. Then 0 marks is fine, accepted, because any number between 0 to 100 is allowed. Let's say also minus 10. Don't forget some of the exams which has got negative marking, wherein people still get minus marks as well. In such cases you can activate that, but here in this particular case I did not activate any minus marking. So click here. So there is a warning again that it is not accept. So these kind of warnings you can create. So I would say 80 marks. I think that is acceptable. Similar way, now I'll go to the concept called date option. So it's not just whole number here. If you still wanted to change it to a decimal number, you wanted to make it a decimal points, you can even create between 0 to 1, and it will accept value with 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, all such it will accept. Now I'll go to date restriction, where I'll have to use date as an option. So restricting date entries in Excel, it's one of the very practically used case, because let's say if I'm asking somebody what is your date of birth, what people usually say, I've seen a lot of cases where people entering the date of birth as today's date. How will somebody taking birth today will be able to fill this form? So people who are filling the form definitely would not be someone who has taken birth today. So ideally they must be entering the previous dates. If I'm restricting my users to beyond 18 years, I would have to restrict my current date to before 18 years. So that way I can set the date settings. Or I wanted to give an appointment. I'm booking a system. I'm creating a system of booking appointments, and I've given the date column. People can book appointments starting tomorrow. So the date should be always future dates, not today's date. So in such cases, any date that is entered below today would be considered invalid. So that way I can create warnings even for that. So from here onwards, the rest of the options will I explain. I'll not be creating any warnings or something. I'll just create this settings. Now here I'll go to data validation. Then here by default it is any value here. I'll just go click on date, and I can fix the start date or end date. Now I would just want to say greater than when. I can select the range where the date is entered, or I wanted to enter some date. I can create a date. Let's say greater than 22/06/2025. I can mention like this. Click on OK. Now let's say mention 22, so 20/05/2025. Will it accept? Let's see. It is not accepted. The date does not match the restrictions. It is a by default restriction that Excel creates. Here, if you see, I have not created any restriction. I have not created any warning message, or I have not created any instruction message. If a user does not create his own customized warning message, so what will happen? Excel creates its own warning message like this. So I'll change the date to 23/05/2025. Sorry, it's 06. So does it work now? Yes, it did. It did work because it's a feature date. So like this, you can put a date and restriction. Now I can also do time restriction here. And now you know pretty well. Go to data validation, click on time, and then greater than what I should do, what kind of restriction I should put for the time. Say I'll put my office hours. My office hours are only between 9 a.m. to, let's say, 6 p.m. So 9 a.m. to 6. Usually the formatting of the timing should be appropriate. Let's see whether it will take it like this. Okay, now the conditions are set. Say I would put 8 a.m. It didn't take. Will it take 9 a.m.? Yes, it did. It took. So this way, even if I say I would like to go and say 7 p.m., it doesn't take like that. Okay, then next option is text length restriction. So now we have option here called text length. Let me quickly go into text length, data validation, go to text length. Instead of between, it should be less than 10. I'll just put 10. Now I'll have to type something with this. Text. I'll just type the same thing, text length. What is the text length? TEXT4 LENGTH6. It is 11 characters now. Enter. It doesn't take because including space, it is 11 characters. If I remove space here, it is still 10, so it doesn't take because it is only taking less than 10, not equals to 10. Okay, I'll just remove H. Yeah, it takes. So it is restricting to 10 characters including space. That's how it is. Then you have an option called list. One of the most important and widely used tool, creating drop-down list in Microsoft Excel, right? So let's say we are designing a form where the user needs to select the department like HR, finance, marketing, or IT, or maybe the user wanted to select the city they belong to, and I have to create a list of cities beforehand. I should be having the list of cities which I should allow the user to enter. If I ask user to enter the data their own, sometimes, for example, take a case of Delhi, people just enter Delhi, some people enter New Delhi. So like this, different people give different names there. So we wanted the options to be predefined, and people should not be typing on their own. There will be a list. Out of the list, they should be able to choose one among the options. If you want to create those kind of a list in Excel, you can do that. So for example, before I create the list, the condition is that you should have your own list available with you. So I have pre-created the list here. So you see, I have created some list called Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Indore. I have the list already available with me. Now what I'll do, I'll just go to a data validation. Instead of any value, I'll go and select list. And from the source, I would just go and select what are the list I have chosen. Then I'll just click OK. Now the moment your list is created, you see that there is one drop down arrow that will be popped up, that will be available right there. Now click on this, you see all the list. I just can select any one of this. So if you wanted to make the blank cell blank, just click on the cell and make delete. If you give a delete again, the list also will get deleted. Yeah, so that way you can create a list in whatever the data validation techniques you can do. So that's all about data validation, basic options of data validation. In my next video, I will take you through custom validation and dependent drop-down lists. Thank you.